These game highlights are brought to you by Jen Dunn and State Farm Insurance, here to help life go right. And by Zoe's Ice Cream Barn, cow to cone in just 3 days, and now serving farm fresh and delicious hamburgers. And so that's the way it ends, and that means that Pine Plains is going to the Final Four, and that's why Les Funk and Kat Simmons is here with us today to talk about not only what's coming up over this coming weekend, but the great season that you guys have had, the great program that you've developed over the years. And first of all, thanks for coming in. I know you had practice today, and it's to get over here. So it is an exciting time for Pine Plains once again. Les, just tell me what the character of this team is.
Yeah, these kids, it's a credit to them. They're great. They're great athletes. They're great kids to be around, and it's great to the excitement that's creating in the community for this weekend. It started last year in March. Building. We took it 2 games further. This year.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
Here we are. We got a shot.
Yeah, so the way the game goes is you're up 2-0. Then all of a sudden in the 7th inning, Emily Chulis hits this 2-run homer, ties it up. It's tied at 2, and then all of a sudden you get the extra run to win it. Very different than it was last year in the semifinals of the regionals,
right?
Where you guys had the lead, and then it was North Salem came up on you, and you couldn't come back on that.
Right. As tough as that was last year, losing to 1 run, to them, I think for the kids coming back, they kept that in their mind all year, and I think going into that game, even our sectional game, which we won pretty easy, the final against Sullivan West, but just building, they had that North Salem game in the back of their mind. So they've been mentally preparing for that kind of a game, and it just happened that it worked out this time for us, that we overcome some things and got it done in the bottom of the 7th.
So Kat, you're catching, pitch comes in, boom, Emily hits it, there it goes. What are you thinking? Are you throwing yourself back to North Salem, or are you just thinking, what are you thinking?
I knew I just had to calm Alex down after that. I can, and she was a little flustered after that, knowing that she just gave up the tying runs, but I just had to calm her down.
And in situations like that, when you say calm her down, what do you say?
I walked out and told her it was okay, that we would pick her up behind her back, and we did. So.
You've got hitting right up and down the lineup. You've got this is a dream team for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you've got clutch hitting. You've got experience. Kat's been on the team since freshman. Do you have to coach them, or do they kind of just run automatically?
They're what do you say, coachable kids. They'll listen. Even Kat, gives advice. And it's not just the coaches. It's some of the experienced players, or they listen and help each other. It's like coaches will go over what we expect and what we want to do in practice and drills, but it's like station to station, they're helping each other out. What they need to correct and fix and get better. And credit to the younger kids, they've bought into that, and they listen, and they do whatever you ask them to do.
Walk-off home run against Cornwall in the Mahals. How'd that feel?
It was pretty nice, but I know that I had to help my team out, and they were all cheering for me. They never backed down, so I had to help them out.
That ball comes off your bat. You can tell it's going, and now you're rounding the bases. Did it feel like forever to finally get home, or what?
Yeah, and then when I finally met them at home, they were all excited, jumping up and down. It was great.
Yeah. Talk us through a little bit about what you do in the off season to keep your skills up, because your batting average has always been high. It's one of the highest or the highest on the team. You're hitting for power, you're hitting for extra base hits and RBIs. What do you do in the off season to keep yourself solid?
I hit a lot. We have travel practice. We practice twice a week, if not 3 times a week. We hit with our hitting coach, and I just hit off the tee at home. Yeah.
So this weekend up in South Glens Falls, interesting thing is that Les Funk doesn't ever sit down. He's also coaching a travel team basketball, right?
Daughters.
And this weekend or last weekend, you just happened to be where you're going to be this weekend.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was last Sunday. We're going up there, and it just so happened that my daughter's playing in South Glens Falls High School, and we're looking around, and I'm like, we'll be here next week. So it's like, took a back road home, and there's the park that we're going to be playing, the Moreau State Park, and so we'll be up there for a third weekend in a row coming this Saturday.
I got to ask you about Haldane. What is it between Pine Plains and Haldane and you know, Kat, right? In so many sports, it just, you guys seem to wind up being at the end of it all.
Yeah. With Haldane, it's even goes back to when we were in the Bi-Valley League. Haldane was in there, and even some of the guys that play that are parents of these kids coming up, it went back to those days. And everybody that talks about the Bi-Valley with Dover, Haldane, Pauling, all that was a tough league back then. And now here we are about 20 years later. It's like, for us, it's always Haldane. It comes down to them. And it's ironic is they're a small school too that have tough kids, and no matter what sport it is, it seems the core athletes are on every team. They play 3 sports, and similar to what we have here at Pine Plains.
Yeah, and that's what I find is amazing when you look at championships per capita, let's say, because the schools are like some of the small schools. You guys are some of the small schools in New York State, yet you've got some of the biggest trophy cases.
Yeah. It's a credit to these athletes that we have. It's just a core that are coming up, and it's the kid. We have one senior this year, and it's these are underclassmen now. It's even they're doing clinics and camps this summer for kids that are 9-10-year-olds. So it's like it builds. Hopefully this weekend, tomorrow I think we got a parade. We're going down to the elementary schools, and I'm sure there's some 4th, 5th grade softball players that are be looking up and. When we did it in 2008, I'm sure these guys are in elementary school looking at these guys, what it was 8-9 years ago now. It's just the cycle that they look up to.
Yeah,
so.
I saw that at Haldane too. When they would be going up to the Final Four, they'd have all the schools out, and all the kids in elementary school would just be cheering them on as they came onto the bus. But this has been a spectacular year for girls' sports at Pine Plains. Basketball, volleyball, softball, all sectional title winners. What's in the water there? You got to be something going on.
Nothing really, just practice. And we've had a lot of our time put into practices and just have to work hard.
Yeah, you're getting spoiled, I think, because, but the Final Four trip, for basketball and the sectional championships and all the stuff, for, basketball and softball, you're a part of all of it. So, I mean, you getting spoiled? You feeling like, you can't lose?
A little bit, but I know reality, and I know we can lose, so it's like I just want to play my hardest all the time.
Interesting component. You guys are going to be playing Greenville in the first game, 9 o'clock. If you win that, you play 1:30 for the championship. In the game against Greenville, we've got a little bit of a familiarity. We're going there because Kat caught the pitcher for Greenville, so you kind of know what she throws and what her tendencies might be. Is that correct?
Yeah, I know almost all of her pitches. She's been working on a couple new ones, but I know what they are too now because I've talked to my other travel players who play against her in our league, so we'll hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, knowing her pitches is one thing, but she's a stellar athlete, isn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of, MVP, all that stuff she's got going on?
Yeah, MVP and the teams, Section 2 is great softball, up there. And the teams that she's beat, Mechanicville this year has been a state softball power for many years, beating them by 1 run. Lake George had a great season this year, beat them the other day, or last week, 1-0. And, they play in a tough league, with Chatham, who only lost 1 game all year, and she's tough, and to be an MVP of that kind of league, she's got to be, the real deal. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Rockaway was tough too coming in, and you knew that was going to be a tough game, and it was. But you showed the resiliency that you've been showing all year long.
Absolutely.
So we just kind of are right behind you, hoping that things turn well for you at 9 o'clock, and then you get into the 1:30 game, and you come home with another state championship. Wouldn't that be great for Pine Plains?
Absolutely.
All right, well, fellas, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Les, great to see you.
Good to
Kat,
see you.
good job, doing great on the field. Love watching you play. What a great athlete you are in every sport that you play. So your intensity is what is inspiring for the rest of us. So keep that up. And that will do it for this edition of One on One. I'm Charlie Carnaccio. We'll see you next time.